get the meter readers on camera, and I will explain why. Hello everybody, and welcome back to Stop the DTE Monopoly. Let's jump right in and get into the trail cam project. Okay, here we have the Moultrie P180i. It is a 180 degree camera. Does pics and video. I know it'll shoot up to 1080p on video. As for the megapixels, I think it's 12, but I could be wrong. Anyway, just go ahead and open it up. Have different settings on how you start it. I usually do custom start, and I have a security code set for that. So if somebody did gain access to your camera, they wouldn't be able to just start screwing around with it. So that's kind of a nice feature. Brought it in tonight to clear the card and change the batteries on it. Right here it has an eject button. Holds 12 AA batteries. It's usually best to use a screwdriver to get these out of here. They hold in pretty tight. As for the AA batteries, this can get expensive if you're just going to CVS or wherever buying AA's like that. I would recommend using Duracells. I have found them to be the longest lasting batteries for these trail cams. I can usually buy 48 AA batteries at Sam's Club for 20 bucks or less. So now that the battery bank is loaded, it has a seal on it. This is weatherproof, waterproof. It's locked in. I've got my SD card. Actually, this is a micro SD card, but I have an SD card adapter, which is what it takes. Load it in. So now the camera is all set to go. And let's see what power I have. I'll go ahead and enter my security code. So now it gets to motion detect options, start. So we'll go ahead and start, see what the battery power is at. Yeah, it's registering at 99%, so that's good. And you have photo and video options, info strip options. So we'll go into that, have date and time. It also, name of the camera, is the info strip active? Yes. Temperature, and it does temperature and in Fahrenheit. Just the time and date stamp would really be all you need. Make sure it's set correctly for the right time, right day, and set it up in an inconspicuous spot if you are not going to have it secured, locked to a tree, locked to a post, something that is not going to move. I recommend securing it in. Usually these cameras come with cages because it helps, one, prevent theft, two, also prevents damage from animals, bears, etc. So I would highly recommend purchasing a cage for your camera. I have been to places when I was out doing all the meter scans where people did have trail cams set up and they were doing wrong by, DTE was doing wrong by these people, and they straight up smashed their cameras and took the cards out of them, the memory cards. So you need that memory card to prove anything. So maintain your camera, secure your camera, and if you cannot secure the camera, put it in a spot that is very, very hard to find the camera. The only thing that you need to do with that camera is make sure when the meter readers come in, they have to pass it at some point to get to the meter. What's going on here is, as you saw in the telephone call with DTE when I called customer service about the horribly bad read on my excuse me, on my meter, it it became apparent that the people at DTE think they don't have to show up to read the meter, and they can still charge us the $9.80 plus tax to read the meter every month anyway. The MPSC says DTE must show up and read those meters every month. That's a conflict for those of you that are having a hard time putting that together. They have to show up. It is an MPSC rule under the last agreement over the smart meter and opt-out meter broadcasting fight that we just had a year or so ago. So with that, I had set up a trail cam at my home. So if somehow, some way they decided to jump a fence or whatever and get past a surveillance camera, which is next to impossible here, but just in case, I went ahead and set up a trail cam. I want to know when these clowns are showing up. So a trail cam is a very, very easy way of doing that. You don't have to have a home surveillance system for it, and it's relatively cheap. It's definitely cheaper than doing a home surveillance system, which is also fantastic as well. So if we can catch these meter readers coming out on camera, they usually come about the same time every month, give or take a few days. Have your camera charged up and ready. I hope everybody did their research like I suggested last week when I did the video to say what one of my next videos was going to be about the trail cams and to look into them. Hopefully everybody at least searched a couple of websites to see what's out there, see what might be in their price range, and hopefully have some questions ready to ask me on them. I would recommend a camera that has a relatively good triggering distance, like a sensing distance, because if you do need to set it up kind of further away, you want it to get triggered. Small animals, with any decent camera, a small animal, a tree branch will trigger a camera. I would rather have it at a higher sensitivity than a lower sensitivity. You want it to get triggered. If these meter readers are doing like what they do at my house, they usually read from my neighbor's yard. Sometimes they bring binoculars, sometimes they don't, because as we all know, I keep my gate locked because it's not worth the risk of me losing my dog, because these knuckleheads don't make that much money. They don't know how to shut a gate for some odd reason, or they just don't care. It's not like they can't say they didn't know I had a dog. I got beware of dog signs all over my yard. At every entrance, there is a sign. So you can't say they didn't know I didn't have a dog. Reason why I have the beware of dog signs up is because, for some of you that may not know, my chosen breed is the American Pit Bull Terrier. Good dog, but you cover your butt when you have a breed like that. There's nothing wrong with the dogs. It's just the nature of the beast. So anyway, let's get back to the cameras. So in the video, I did the one camera that I really like, which is the Moultrie P180i. It's a 180 degree camera, so it shoots, 180 degrees. It's perfect. It's really hard to get by that camera. I really like it up at the farm for keeping an eye on the deer herd for my hunting season and whatnot. And also keeping an eye on trespassers as well. It's pretty hard to get by them. I would recommend that. You can usually get them for about $100 off Amazon. There's plenty of other good brands out there. You can definitely spend a whole lot more and get a better camera. But I have found that the Moultrie cams are a good product at a decent price, and they hold up for years. And I'll go ahead and give you guys another idea. This is also a Moultrie cam right here. This is the M50i. As you can see, it's only got one camera on it. Infrared flash. Does good at night. Good detection distance. A little bit smaller. This is actually a 20 megapixel camera. I think I stated in the video that I shot earlier about the 180 degree camera that it was I thought it was a 12 megapixel. It's actually a 14 megapixel. Does great for still shots. Really does nice on video. Both these cameras shoot photo and video. You can have it shoot one or the other. I like to get both. Usually a 3-shot burst and then 10 to 30 seconds of video, just for whatever reason. But keep in mind, if you decide you want to shoot a lot of video, that means you will be eating a lot more battery. So just keep that in mind when you decide to do that. This camera, back to this camera is the same for the most part. It just does not shoot 180 degrees. Doesn't have quite as wide of a swath. This might be a good idea if you can't afford to get a steel cage for it that you can lock up, lock to a tree, lock to a post, whatever. That's the Premiere starting. On the upside, this camera does take less batteries than the other. This one takes 8 batteries. The other camera takes 12. Other than that, just a couple ideas for trail cams. And why am I preaching about trail cams, you folks must be asking yourselves? Well, we need to catch these guys showing up or not. Bottom line, we need to catch them when they show up and when they don't. When they do show up, see how they're reading our meters. Are they using binoculars? Are they looking from 3 houses down? Those of you folks that have these new no radio opt-out meters, some folks have said they never see the guy and they're home all day. Or girl, my bad. They never see them. How are these meters getting read? If they do not broadcast and nobody shows up and they're not getting an estimated bill, how are these meters being read? How is this information getting back to DTE? This is something. I need your help. This is a call to action, a new campaign against DTE. The Trail Cam campaign. Let's get some cameras up. Let's get them secured. Let's make sure we keep the batteries in them. And let's check memory cards. And save information when we do download our memory cards. If you buy a big enough card, you'll probably run out of battery before you run out of memory card. I usually keep a 32 gig in these, and I've never ran out of memory space on these things. So 32 gig SD card is relatively cheap. So I would go that route along with the camera and a cage. Mount it to something where somebody just can't walk off and steal it. And let's start seeing what these meter readers are or are not doing. They showed up when they read my meter when I got that crazy last bill that made me actually pick up a phone and call these morons down at DTE. So how are they reading it? Because they're not reading them correctly. And some folks, they're not even seeing the people. So we need to figure this out. We need to find out when they're coming around, when they're not. And this, once we gather enough information, and if enough of us opt-outs, tell your friends that are opt-outs to do the same thing. I can't carry this all on my own. I am only one voice. I just get to help hopefully get a word out and get more people to act on these ideas. I cannot do it alone. If you have questions, that's what I'm here for. If you have suggestions that can help me, I'm here for that as well. Don't mind passing messages along. But I need help with this. I cannot do it all on my own. Set up trail cams. Very simple. Really cheap to do. And we can really start dredging up some dirt on these morons and tackle DTE another way. The opt-out program isn't working for us. It costs us more every month with money that they think they have a right to just walk away with and not give us a credit for. That's stealing. If you have don't have a problem with DTE stealing $9.80 a month plus tax out of your pocket, throw a donation to the channel. I'll take that $10. At least it's going to somebody that appreciates it. But I can't do this all on my own. We need help. We need to organize. We need to get people off their rear ends and start going after these bastards. That's what we need to do. With that, hopefully you found the information on the trail cam videos informational and helpful. And hopefully you act on it. Let's get these guys pinned down and let's stop the DTE monopoly.